But I'm like, as long as you're trying, I don't care if you get a C or an A. Like, it makes no difference as long as you're trying your best.
I'm never doing a talk called Women Navigating Everything by Brett Ullman. Like, here's an hour of mansplaining.
Yeah.
The digital Sabbath is becoming wildly popular, and like just taking a day where you're just unplugging, like no screens, no internet.
You can be a healthy person and just have struggle in an area that you're like, I want to get this taken care of so that I don't stay in fight or flight, right?
You're watching 5 hours of TV a day, but your marriage is in shambles, you're failing at a school, your health isn't good. Mm-hmm. Let's go back to some of those things.
Well, we are so glad that you are joining us this week for Squabbling Saints. This is going to be an amazing episode today, I think.
Unamazing?
Unamazing. I don't know.
Oh, amazing.
That's why amazing.
Oh.
Yeah, an amazing episode.
Like, unamazing. I think it's going to be really great.
Yeah. What did you think I was trying to say?
Unamazing.
Oh, not unamazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Yeah.
No.
Unamazing.
This is... Thank goodness that we're not using the sound effects today. Lindsay's he's reaching for it.
Yeah.
He's reaching for it. No, I think we're going to have an incredible episode today. We have a very special guest that we've been looking forward to having on for months. Brett Ullman is here with us.
The Brett Ullman.
Many of you probably have seen one of his talks, or if you live anywhere like really in Ontario, he's been around doing stuff for a long time, and I'm assuming across Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he does talks on literally everything, it seems like, and he's got books like Navigating Parenting, and like parenting, marriage, media. He covers it all, and so we're excited to have him.
Here it is, the book.
We're excited.
One of.
We're excited to have him here on the podcast because we want to talk about marriage today, but we want to get to know Brett a little bit before we even dive in. And I happened upon his ministry when I was 13 or 14, a long time ago, when he was...
But he's still really young.
Very young. Very
I like the
young.
emphasis on a long time ago.
Well, sorry. I feel like I'm aging faster than I am. My wife says that I'm just an old man at 38. Like, I should be out telling people to get off my lawn and along that way. But yeah, so not so long ago, I was 13 or 14, and you came and did a talk on media when I was in just junior high, and it was amazing. And I remember thinking, wow, that is a slick slideshow. I mean, you were crushing slideshows like long before people really, like, you made slideshows look like movies. It was fantastic. And you're rocking an Apple computer. I was just blown away by the whole scale of the presentation. But the content was good too, for sure.
It's funny though, because we became a charity because I had to buy a data projector because no churches had data projectors at that point. And they were like $8,000. So I'm like, if we're spending crazy. $8,000, and like they came in like a wheelie case, like at the airport.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, if we're going to do this, I want a tax receipt. So we became a charity. It took 3 weeks and like $300, and we became a not-for-profit.
And you bought a projector.
Then that's how we began as a charity.
And now you can buy them for $100.
Yeah.
On Amazon.
And
they're pretty good too.
And I don't need to anymore.
Yeah, because everybody's got some. Yeah, so I came across, and you're doing your talks. You've been doing them for almost 30 years. So why don't you tell us a bit about your ministry, what you've been doing in your talks and the places you go, and the new chapter of your life that you've segued into in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. Oh, so I'm 54, so I do have a lot of history in that. So I've been speaking for 29 years. The first 10 years of that, I was a teacher with, back then it wasn't the Toronto District Board, it was Scarborough.
Oh.
And speaking grew from nothing to suddenly I'm speaking 45 dates a year, 1.5-year-old pregnant wife.
Teaching full-time.
Wow.
And like I'd finish a full week, hop on a plane on Friday night for Halifax, be gone all weekend, come home Sunday.
Yikes.
Yeah, too much. So I left teaching, and I've been doing this full-time ever since, up until you kind of 3 years ago and a bit. Well, kind of during COVID, I realized a lot. I always blame it on COVID, but it's not true. My speaking kind of went down from 120 dates a year down to something a lot less, 60, 70. But it's because I began putting courses online. Like right now, media has been wonderful because churches anywhere Like I just love when I get an email from like South Africa or England or other places, but it means I don't need to travel as much.
Right.
But I still need to work. So I went back and took my master's in counseling, and I've been a registered psychotherapist now for 2.5 years or so.
How do you find the difference in working one-on-one with people versus one on hundreds or thousands, even though it's not like 1,000 people is talking back at you, it's still just you with a group of people. Do you find it pleasing in different ways?
It's an interesting question, because when I left teaching, I missed the one-on-one. Like I'd come into a church and I'd meet pastors, youth pastors, kids, but then I'm gone. And so I missed the one-on-one. And I'd get that with my friends and family and other things, but I'm enjoying journeying day by day with people. And so I kind of really enjoy that.
Yeah,
You get to see the fruit, right? It's not just like you're
pack up and go.
Yeah, throwing a bunch of seeds out there and hoping that they grow. You're able to see some of the fruit come.
Because as a speaker, as an itinerant speaker, you don't really see that. Like you come into a conference, a camp, a church, and then you're gone.
Yeah.
And you get a few
cross
emails.
Your fingers.
Yeah. And then, but you don't hear kind of what happens after that.
I guess when you get invited back, that's how you know that it was maybe fruitful.
Yeah. It's always good to be invited once. It's always nice to be invited
back.
Do you find a lot of overlap in the subject matter between your talks and when you're, say, in counseling? Do you think that maybe if we had more conversations, like when you do your public speaking, you might see less of certain things in the counseling office?
For sure. So I speak on I'm very lucky. Like I speak on the big topics. So media's always been mine. Like back in those days, I forget what it was called, True Lies or something I was doing. But like I have a new talk on media, and everything's going to navigating everything. Media navigating everything.
Right.
Marriage It's just the idea of there's such nuance with all these conversations. And so how do we look at a whole topic? So media, parenting, marriage is my new one. I have a men navigating everything. How do we be better fathers, husbands, and boyfriends? Which my wife always says, this talk is good for women. And then I always make the joke, I'm never doing a talk called Women Navigating Everything by Brett Ullman. Like, here's an hour of mansplaining for everybody.
That's true.
I feel like it could be a bestseller, though. I think just people would get it just out of curiosity to just see kind of how that goes.
But I did read a book when I was first married that was like all about men, but for women. And then there was an all about women for men. And it was interesting to hear like how a man's mind worked, because there were things that I like said to Lindsay. I was like, hey, is this true about like the way that you guys like your mind works? And he's like, oh yeah. Like, it's like when you watch, what's his name? Laugh Your Way to Better Marriage. Laugh your, what's his name? Louis Giglio. It's Giglio.
Is it Louis Giglio? That's
I think
him?
so. Laugh Your Way to Better Marriage.
Oh, here we go.
And it talks about like the boxes and stuff like that. So I think like it's true that like hearing about like what a man needs to hear would be helpful for the women to like listen to the men's course. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mark Gungor.
Mark Gungor. Yeah. Sorry. There are all those like.
I was like, Louis branching out into comedy.
Mark Gungor. Have you ever watched those? Laugh Your Way to Better?
No, I've heard about them, but I've never.
Andrew Jones
Okay.
made us watch those. He was our marriage counselor. Anyway, but they were really good. But so was this book, like learning about how a man thinks, because we both think very differently.
I didn't answer your question, by the way. I kind of just started talking about.
No, it's okay.
Your question was, if we address some of the larger topics, would we not? And I think for sure, I always kind of wish we as the church address certain things, like mental health would be the big one, better. Because so many people come in with, like, I had people come up to me after a talk or even in a session as a therapist. They're like, I'm reading my Bible every week. Why am I not better? And you're like, what? Like, what do you, but they've heard from a pulpit or through a song or something that all they need is more prayer, more Bible study. By the way, prayer and Bible study are both good.
Yeah.
Yep.
But maybe for them, it's something different they need. But until you know what the question is, like until you know what's going on, like and there's some assessment. I always laugh. My favorite story with this, I'm speaking at a church. I forget what I'm talking on, but a girl comes up after and she's cradling a venti coffee close to her chest and her hands shaking a bit. And she says, so I've been struggling with anxiety. She bursts out in tears and she says, so my church says I'm demonized. And I'm like, okay, another conversation here. And then she says, and my mom and doctor putting me on mental health meds tomorrow. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, she's so young.
Yeah.
But she's cradling this coffee. And I just said, it's decaf, right? She said, oh no, it's 8:00 at night. And I said, how many coffees do you drink a day? So if you said to me, Brett, how many coffees do you drink a day? Okay, I'm on a month with no coffee, so now it would be none. But usually it's 2. I don't need to process. I drink 2 each day. She looked up and to the left, so she's processing. And in my head, I'm like, how many coffees are you drinking? And she's doing this with her fingers. 6 or 7, she says. And
gosh, if I have one a day, and like I can feel shaky just from 1 cup of coffee a day.
So 6
and
or
I can
7.
feel like jittery.
It's the principle of Occam's razor. Have you heard that term before? So Occam's razor is the simplest answer is usually the answer. And so the pastor went right away to demons. That's all she got from her church. Yes. And then her doctor went straight to medications.
Yeah.
But each is just viewing the world through their own lens. And no one is saying, tell me a bit about you.
Tell me about your day.
Yeah. Like, so I'm writing a book right now called Control the Controllables. Like, how's your exercise? How's your sleep? How's your nutrition? How's your friend? Like, let's do that first before we head into these other things. But like
sleep.
6 or 7 coffees a day. Let's start with that.
You're probably not sleeping at night if you're doing it's so simple.
It is true though. Like, is it because we like to sensationalize things that we go for the most complex when we're trying to diagnose things as people, like, as opposed to going to the simplest? Because doctors immediately want to, it seems, I'm not trying to cast aspersions, it seems as though doctors immediately want to get the medication going, or, we tend to over spiritualize things, or as opposed to just, as you're saying, let's simply walk through some basic details of your life and we might be able to uncover this thing. Do you think that maybe we're a little too extreme in our willingness in our own areas of maybe quote unquote expertise to jump to the most extreme?
I think of a doctor though, like my doctor, I walk in, you have 4 minutes? So there's not enough
Seems
time
like
to
everyone else has way more than 4 minutes though, because you wait in the office for so long.
But you don't have enough time to go through all. Like, for me as a therapist, I can sit and when I do a first session with someone, I want to hear their journey, but then I want to know, what are you doing in life? Tell me the things that you're trying right now. And that's all these sleep and other things.
Right.
But I think people go to what they know. And I think doctors know meds more.
Right.
And I think we in the church, we need to get a more holistic view of people. That's why, in my mental health talk, I talk about body, mind, and soul.
Yeah.
And I'm a kin major by trade. I lean heavily towards the body.
Ooh, that's very interesting to me.
Podcast 2.
Yeah.
Don't dive in there yet. Don't dive in yet. We can come back to that. No, but it's true. I was having a conversation with somebody recently, and it's very easy to glance over even, say, the life of Jesus in the Gospels. His ministry was very holistic. It wasn't just, healing the sick. It wasn't just casting out demons. It was sitting and having conversations and walking through aspects of their life. When he reads the scroll in Isaiah and he talks about causing the blind to see and setting the captive free and binding up the brokenhearted, it's a very holistic ministry. And specifically in the church, I think we've neglected a lot of things and left it simply by saying, oh, that's the world. If we just, as you said, read our Bible more, prayed more, everything would be great. But it seems as though we have neglected that. And I love that in this generation, we talk a lot about the pendulum has swung from generation to generation. It seems as though we're starting to find a bit of balance and not just swinging again to another extreme, because we're not, trying to therapize a demon, but we're also not trying to cast out maybe a mineral imbalance in somebody's body, right? We're actually walking with people. Yeah.
We've thrown a lot. You kind of said the term, when we split into us and them, Christian, quote unquote, secular, and everything secular is bad. It's no. So we've swung the pendulum so far back in the other direction. Now the answers only can often be spiritual. And so opening that back up to, if you need magnesium or vitamin D, great. Yeah. Or if you go for a walk each day and get some sunlight, and there's there's basics that I think
Yeah.
we need to get back to as well.
Totally. I find like we see a naturopath and they more want to know the whole, like, sit down, tell me about your upbringing, tell me about how many infections you had, but also like tell me about each day. How many hours are you getting of sleep? What are you eating for breakfast? Oh, Captain Crunch? That's probably not the best choice.
Captain Crunch is a trash cereal. I'm sorry. It's all about Sugar Crisp. Like Sugar Crisp or Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Like that's the wheelhouse. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
like, you threw a terrible example. I just wanted to clear it up. So
Anyway, so I like that there's some balance in some of these things, right? More than just a doctor knows medicine, this knows this, then we have like a more balanced approach. Okay, well, if you need medication, go on medication, but there's also, let's try to wake up in the morning and go outside first thing. Like simple things that will make a difference for our mental health, right?
Well, you're like a lot of naturopaths is part of, like, we call it functional or integrative medicine. So I call myself like a functional counselor. It's not a term.
I like
it doesn't
that.
exist. But it's more than just tell me about your childhood, like, which may be important, but it's all of this together.
right.
I feel like that's not a common thing for your counselor to ask you, well, what does a day look like for you? Like, what are the things that you're already trying? Are you eating healthy? Are you eating junk all day? Because that stuff feeds our, like coffee, right?
Yeah.
Feeds our cortisol levels and stuff like that. So,
Well, I'm a psychotherapist, so I'm a talk therapist.
yeah.
I can't talk you out of or talk you into having more vitamin D.
Yeah.
I can't talk you into the benefits of exercise. Like, and exercise is always the root, and sleep. I'm writing my chapter on sleep right now. Like, it's the foundation of everything.
Yeah. It's really hard when your kids wake up.
Yeah, that's a whole different conversation. I have a Zoe's 23 and a son who's 21. So I don't have those same issues right now.
Not right now.
To tell us there's hope. There's hope in the future for us. Because mine is 8 and 6, and you're 9,
4 and 3.
So we're not getting a ton of sleep.
I remember those days like it was yesterday.
Lindsay's going to have nightmares still when he's your age about those days that we're having.
My daughter Zoe, and she knows I say this, didn't sleep the night till she was 2.5 years old. Like it is like that young parenting stage. It will get better. It just takes a lot of time.
Maybe this is a good spot to segue into, like, because we want to talk about marriage today. And
So lack of sleep definitely affects your marriage.
Yes.
When you're comparing who got less sleep.
Do you want to know where we sleep?
Tell them. Tell the world.
Tell the world? Okay. Well, we have a 2-bedroom apartment. We don't make a lot of money in ministry. And we have our bed, and our daughter sleeps in her toddler bed in our room. And then we have bunk beds in the other room for our boys. And we're hoping to move our 3-year-old daughter in with them. But my 4-year-old son still wakes up at night, every night screaming. I'm pretty sure he has cortisol issues because it's like almost the same time every night and screaming for daddy. So Lindsay then goes and sleeps in there, and my daughter will wake up probably sometime around 4 or 5, and she's crying, and she comes into the bed with me. So we start off together, and every night we wake up separate. How is that for our marriage?
Do you know what this is? Part of this is it's survival when you have little kids. Like
we're totally survival. Yeah.
And it's
babies are easier. Oh my gosh, babies are easier. I know it's all relative to the situation, but toddlers.
Well, your toddlers versus everybody else's babies. Okay, let's be clear.
Babies are
for the
just
marriage. You have a young baby. Often women are breastfeeding, so sometimes you're in separate rooms, and just because one person has to get up for in the morning, but it's hard on both people, right? Because then, if the husband's out and working and then has to do grocery shopping,
resentment
and comes home,
of like, you get to be out. Yeah.
Well, it's easier being out.
Yeah.
Like when my wife's a nurse, and when we had young kids, she would nurse during the summer, and then I would be off during the summer, so I'd have kids. And I remember being so thankful to be going back to work because I'm in the car, I have my radio on, it's not playing like the Wiggles or something.
Or the screaming.
Or snack time. And I remember like going to the zoo, the kids would be fast asleep. I'm just sitting there. Like it's different. You're at work, you can grab a coffee, you can
Yep.
chat with adults, and do other things.
Yeah.
So what do you recommend for parents in that phase? How do you navigate that and still maintain a strong marriage? And maybe
don't tell us
to
enjoy the wheel. Every moment.
Yeah, and maybe we introduce the wheel here.
People tell us that all the time, and Lindsay's like, or this is the best days of your life, and Lindsay's like, if this is the best days of my life. He has no mic today, so he can't even say anything.
I think that John Gottman, have you guys heard that name? John Gottman's like, he wrote the book 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work. It would be like the marriage book.
Okay.
In it, he talks a lot about when you're having issues, do you turn towards, away, or against? Those are the only options you have.
Yeah.
So if you as a couple are having issues with a kid sleeping or just whatever, right? It's just you're having tantrums and these things happening. You either turn towards each other and it's like the two of you against the world. How do we figure this out?
Yeah.
Or you turn away from each other. Well, now we're not talking.
Right.
Now we're kind of ignoring each other. You feel more alone, or you're turning against each other.
This is your fault.
Yeah. Or we're just angry, right? We're angry at something, which is, I always love the question, are you angry at me or the situation?
Right.
Because I think it narrows something down.
Yeah, that's a great question.
You ask the person that and they're like, because usually the person will go, oh yeah, sorry. Like I'm just mad. I'm angry. I haven't slept well. I'm frustrated at a situation, but it's the two of you working how to move forward.
Yeah.
It will get better. And maybe in those moments, it's recognizing the good that's happening and not just the bad.
Yeah.
As therapists, sometimes we play a game like 3 good things. What are 3 good things I'm thankful to God for today? Just because if you're thinking of everything you put on a pendulum, negative, 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 as opposed to there's still some good stuff, but recognizing that it's still there a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you do all that you can do. So if it's sleep, have you read all the books on sleep? Have you done all the things? And sometimes, and we were the same, we did it all and it didn't work and it will change.
Yeah.
It does. And it's okay. But it's hard. And so it's trying to make sure you do things together.
Yeah, totally.
I didn't read all the books, but I had them on my nightstand as though I was going to absorb them by osmosis while I was sleeping. But I feel like based on the amount of books... His wife
probably read them.
Yes, my wife.
And then left them on his bedstand for him to read.
Listen, I didn't need them. I was in the place of perfection. I just needed to just be along for the ride. Oh, my wife. She's going to yell at me while she's listening to this.
No. Lindsay and I definitely, it's us against them. Like, we're together.
United front.
Yeah.
And as your kids get bigger, then it becomes us against the world. Right? Like we would do family meetings and stuff. Yeah. So it is you as a family, but then like in this, it's you working against all the struggles of kids. But very quickly, like yearly family meetings, it's us against the world. You want to know who has your backs the most? It's us. Like my kids are both in post-grad right now. We're still their biggest fans. We're still encouraging them and praying for them and doing anything we can to help them get through these years of their life.
Totally. Yeah. And I think that's forever. Like I am not in school anymore, and my mom was here today to pick up the kids so that we could do this. Like our parents are our biggest fans for sure, and help us.
My in-laws, we drop.
Like, can you imagine?
We drop
without
our kids
your
off
parents
every day before school and pick them up from their every day after school.
Like, can you imagine what your marriage would be like without parents who are so helpful? Right? Like, it would be much harder. Your life,
it takes a
my
village.
life.
It takes a village thing. Really makes a lot of sense when you have the village, but when you don't have a village, it's like it must be a real struggle for a lot of people. So I'm very, very, very thankful for my in-laws and the money that they've saved us from before and after school. Like it's been incredible.
Do you mind? I had to move this. I just felt like it was blocking.
Go for it.
There are people who don't have that.
They do. I know. Yeah.
And so like some of us are really fortunate and others of us are not. And so I think that's where we as the church, like, in my talk on media, I talk a lot about like the answer is people, but it's the same in this kind of conversation.
Yeah.
People like how can we come around those people in our churches, could be single parents or not. How do we
in
help
all the
them
situations, right? Like someone's going through sickness, that can be really hard on a marriage, taking care of your kids, taking care of whatever. That's where the church needs to like step up and come and walk with them. Or else you'll see like that's a very common thing is for separation to happen after a child is sick or like, you know what I mean? Like traumatic events that take place when they do it alone, right?
Yeah.
So you have a wheel that you use.
It's an astute observation.
In your talk on marriage. So
Sorry, I don't know if you caught this. We're very much brother and sister in the way we jab at each other, even though we're not. Lindsay and I are related. We're not related at all.
Anyway, so you have a talk that I watched on through King Street's church, but you've shared it other places too. And you talk about this pie that has different pieces in order to like see, sort of gauge the health of your marriage, right? Where that area you might struggle in. And it's so practical and simple, but not everyone would think of it in the way that you've laid it out. So it's like super helpful. I especially like the fun piece. Would love for you to talk about that. But do you want to just like explain the pie?
So I'm a very pragmatic, like I want structure. Like what is the goalpost? It's the same with even us as Christians. What is the goalpost, right? Like what does being a fully devoted follower of Jesus mean?
Yeah.
And so what are the metrics for that?
Yeah.
But the same is kind of, so I speak on marriage now. I shouldn't say that. First, I'm counseling on marriage. And that's kind of when I was saying to my wife, like, I really think I need to talk on this. I've always made talks.
You've been married for
29 years.
To
my wife, Dawn.
Yeah. And you met her.
Met her while
Give me the hot goss. That's not just.
I met Dawn while she was on a date with another guy.
Oh
no way!
That's why we wear the headphones.
Do you know the name Hiram Joseph, the musician?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm Bayview Glen. Years ago, we used to have these coffee kind of. You go and you hear a band, and so I walk in alone, and Hiram's there, and so we're chatting, and this girl walks by, and Hiram says, "That's the girl for you." Well, she's on a date. So when the guy went to the bathroom, I went over. All I need to know is where is she from, and she attended their group. So that's how we met, and then we were married 11 months later.
No way! That's crazy.
Man.
Was she on like a first date, or was she
First date?
Oh, okay. So it wasn't like you like stole her from a boyfriend or something. Okay, that's all right.
I guess that's probably good to say.
But prophetically, like, for Hiram to be like, wow, that's
He's a musician, right?
Yeah, he was a musician, and his mom used to attend here before she passed away 2 years ago.
Like he's played here.
Yeah.
Yeah, at like Christmas.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah,
I'm like,
we met then.
I'm
And
like,
then
that's the same person.
We have a daughter and a son as well. Daughter currently in law school, which is amazing, and a son taking his master's in psychotherapy.
Crazy.
Which I just need to be honest. People keep saying, "Oh, he's following like his dad," and I'm like, "No, I stole his dream because he's always wanted to be a psychotherapist." And then suddenly I'm like, "I think I'm going to be a psychotherapist."
Well, you can have a father and son practice.
Yeah.
There you go.
Ullman and Ullman.
Nice.
Yeah.
That sounds
like a lot.
Yeah,
it sounds like your daughter's.
So we'll bring her in as well. Both.
Yeah.
that's amazing.
But I made the Flywheel because I was taking the things that people keep coming in with. And so I'm trying to find a structure for it. And I'm reading books and different things. And what I like about the Flywheel is it's not just the pieces of the pie, but there's arrows on it. And so you can there's lines 1 to 10, and then you can put an arrow like, are you getting better? Or are you getting worse? So if it's like household management and you're a 5 out of 10, but are you getting better? Or are you as a couple getting worse?
Yeah, like that's how you would judge like your walk with Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Like we're not going to be perfect. We're not going to be perfect in marriage. We're not going to be perfect in parenting. We're not going to be perfect in our walk with God. But if we're at least moving forward, like I always say to my son is very smart in school. He's 9, and I'm like, he gets these great report cards, but I'm like, as long as you're trying, I don't care if you get a C or an A. Like it makes no difference as long as you're trying your best. And so I think that is important for us to recognize that we're trying. Yeah, we're moving forward.
But it just gives people something to work at.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes like you're in a session and you begin and you cover one thing, but the goal in the end is that you address all of these things. And I do have another tool that I kind of built into this, which is just a weekly marriage meeting. Where once a week you sit down. It's kind of based on 4 things. One is appreciation. Sometimes we don't tell each other what you like. I appreciate what you did this week with this or with that. 2 is like a logistics. What is this? Who's cooking? Who's doing this? As kids get older, you'll get to the driving years where you're driving all the time. Who's doing what? But then it's going through the flywheel. And maybe it's picking one thing. We need to do better at this or this.
Yep.
But then it's how do we work the problem together?
Okay, so you want to talk us through kind of some of the categories, and maybe if you could point out like what you see as commonly like a weakness in marriages, because if I was to look at the wheel already, I can see like things that in my marriage that I know are strengths and things that are weaknesses. But I feel like in a lot of marriages, especially when I meet with people who come to my office to talk about things, it seems communication seems to be the one that is constantly a struggle for a lot of people. Do you find that to be the case?
I kind of, can people see this, by the way?
We will put it up. Yeah.
So I kind of go like household, intimacy, communication, conflict. And then I come across the bottom, family, which is both parenting and in-laws. Like that's an extended family.
I know. I would say that is one that I hear the most probably
in-laws?
is extended family issues.
Yeah. And then finances, fun, and purpose. Fun, you brought up, is an interesting one. So Gottman says you can do everything else perfect, but if you don't have fun, it doesn't matter.
Well, that's what I've heard that once your kids get to junior high age is a common time for people to separate because you've been in the exhausted toddler, and you finally got to the sweet spot and you're like, oh, we haven't connected in the last 11 years. I don't know what I like to do with you anymore, like that kind of thing. So if you're not keeping that fun in your relationship, then you're going to lose your friendship.
Yeah. And kids always need you, but as they get older, then they have their licenses and then maybe they're away at college, university. We become like quasi empty nesters for a while.
Yeah.
But you look at your partner and you're like, who are you?
Yeah.
Because you've been concentrating together as a team working on children, but you have to at the same time continue to build your relationship.
Yeah.
I always think of, so individual counseling is one-on-one. Couples counseling, it's more about, we always say like the couple, like the relationship is the client. It's not the individual people. And so I use an example like a plant like beside you, but a real one. Is that fake?
Yeah, it's fake.
Think of
There's
like
no windows
in here. I said we could get one of those like plant lights, but...
You think of like a snake plant, right?
Yeah.
They last a long time.
They do.
But you still have to water them.
Yeah.
And so our relationships are like that. And then year after year after year of just no like inattention, like no intentionality, and that slowly withers.
The roots are just, yeah.
So the 2 big ones to me would be household and communication. And intimacy is
almost a result of those 2, right? Like if you're helping around the house a lot, then.
But also, I think a lot of people look at intimacy differently. Some people think sex intimacy, but then a lot of people miss it. It's like it's closeness. It's I think both
and
for sure. But I think a lot of, if you asked a guy immediately is thinking sex, whereas a woman is probably like, well, I haven't connected with you on an emotional level at all this week. So I think that would be like common grounds for a lot of people to miss the mark there.
Well, and having so physical intimacy comes from, if you think of like physical intimacy comes from like a table, like compassion, safety,
right?
Like all these things together.
That hierarchy of
and that's
Maslow's.
kind of the pinnacle of that.
Yeah.
But I think, when you're thinking of physical intimacy, I think we've done a real disservice as the church. Like sex is, so when kids are little, we don't talk about sex much. So I polled, I think it was 10,000 Canadian Christians years ago and asked did they talk about sex or pornography? 90% said my parents never addressed it. And all statistics are wrong, but they're just snapshots of a time and a place in the world. But if it's 90, is it higher? Is it 80? But it's not 10.
Yeah.
So most parents have never addressed this. Now, we don't address it out of fear, and we don't know what to do in many other things. But we still, my people are destroyed from lack of knowledge, right? Nothing. You get to junior high, senior high pastors usually, and I polled at different conferences 2 times a year will address those things. Well, kids only come 50% of the time. So they might get a 30-minute teach an entire year on sex because parents aren't doing it. Then we become young adults, which from our Christian paradigm of waiting to marriage, that's when you'll most likely mess up. You're away, you have the means, like, you know, you're driving, you're not just in your house. And those kids are often very transient, right? Like it's like they're suddenly in a different city or a different place and they don't have that same community. Then you get married, which is now we'll say, now you're free to be sexually active. And often now we will never talk about it the rest of your entire life. And we wonder why we have an issue. Like that, like if we were to say, let's design something that's going to fail, that. And so many couples talk about they're missing this physical intimacy, and sexless marriages are just all over the place these days. But we don't talk about the roots of how we, like, you're not, like, what's that old movie, Sleeping with a Stranger or whatever it is? Like you need to have a good, healthy, quality relationship for that to kind of come from.
Yeah. Why do you think that is, that we've shied away from having that conversation in church?
I don't know.
I guess
I wish there was a simple answer.
So I think a fear that you're going to do it wrong and you're going to make your kid think about it, and then
if you highlight it, then the curiosity takes over. Maybe?
Like do you know the account Birds and the Bees? And it's like it's faith based, but I feel like it's like all about the drip conversation, and it starts off with like calling your private parts by their actual names, and like it starts just like at age 1. This is what this is.
There is no sex talk.
No. And so we have done that with our son, and we've talked about sex several times. He's only 9, but we know that it's out there. He goes to a public school, so we want him to know all of the fancy words from us and not from and that doesn't mean that we're ruining his innocence, but I think that was the fear, is that people are going to ruin the innocence of their child, and or will say it wrong, or they just didn't know because they were never taught, right? So how can you teach someone if you've literally gone your whole life without being taught except from TV, and even haven't talked about it in your own marriage and you're 60? You know what I mean? Like, so they're not going to talk to their kids, so then it becomes like a cycle, which I feel like there is a break happening because of people like you, because of people like Birds and the Bees on Instagram, and Sheila Gregoire. Sheila Gregoire.
Yeah, her Bare Marriage, her podcast and books and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, she's from Belleville.
I know, it's crazy.
But there's not many people who speak and challenge the Christian narrative on these things.
And like the purity culture and everything. So
the backlash from that has been enormous.
But like, it's beautiful what she's doing. Like, there's people who are changing how it's done, also because sexual abuse became so like rampant, right? So we need to talk to kids at a younger age so that they know that this is not okay, right? And go and get the help that they need.
You began by saying, though, people think if we speak on things, people will do it. There's no studies in the world that say that.
I know.
So it's like, well, if you talk on it, they're going to go do it. It's like I've had that one. So I still have a talk on pornography I'll do. And more, pornography is part of a larger kind of construct. Right. But like, no one goes and people are doing things because we've never talked about them. Like my word
and
is greater.
And it's like a curiosity.
Yeah. They don't know what a word is, so they go and Google it. We don't want that.
No. Yeah.
So like family dinners is where I think is an amazing place where our kids can say and ask anything they want. Like if you haven't kind of choked over a question at dinner that your kids ask you, like it should be a place. I want us, like, come and ask us, right? Before you go and ask some friend in the schoolyard or the internet.
Yeah, for sure. And the Birds and the Bees, she's like, if they ask all of a sudden a question and you're like, oh, you say, well, that's a very great question. To give yourself a second to think about how you're going to respond to it. That's a really great question. Like, practice saying that, so that when they ask that question that you're like, oh, wow, okay, well, that's a really great question.
And
like,
it might be, I'll get back to you.
Yeah, totally.
That's okay.
And maybe in the moment you're like afraid. And so you just say, oh, we're not going to talk about that or whatever. You come back. I apologize for the way I acted. Like, it's okay. We can talk about that.
This is part of, like, in my talk for parenting, like I kind of like, if we want to be parents, be parents. And so it doesn't just happen. Like, we need to, like, this is, I mean, if you've heard of parenting styles before, we talk about helicopter parenting, a lot of other ones, but there's only really 4. And the one we're supposed to be is where we love a lot and we ask a lot. We push our kids a lot. It's authoritative parenting, not authoritarian. Like I'm the parent. But we love and we push. And this is where we have to move our kids along in these conversations. And we have to then partner as parents with pastors and coaches and teachers and counselors. But it's all of us working together to move these kids along. But parents need to me, learn. If you don't know how to talk to your kid about sex, well, go get, like Sheila has a puberty course you can get, or read some books, or go to the Birds and the Bees. But don't just do nothing.
Yeah.
I remember when I was when I was youth pastoring, there was so few resources, it felt like, and I was looking where I could appropriately teach. I for sure did not. I was not married. I was single. I didn't feel like equipped to like be able to have a good conversation with students. And it wasn't till, 5 years after I stopped youth pastoring, I was like, oh, this resource comes out, this resource comes out. And even in my own childhood, like I remember getting, the Birds and the Bees talk. It was after my dad had handed me a book and said, here, read this. We're going to have a conversation when you're done. And I don't know do you remember, it would have been the early 2000s, there was a Starburst commercial where the dad's going to give the kid the Birds and the Bees talk, but the kid pops a Starburst into his mouth and then he floats off into a land of fruit. And then all of a sudden he comes out of the land of fruit, and the dad slaps his leg and goes, well, I'm glad that was a good talk. So my dad started the talk by handing me a bag of Starburst.
Oh, that's smart.
Oh my gosh.
To kind of, but I remember thinking after that conversation, like, yikes.
I did not land in fruit.
Yeah, no, well, after the conversation, I was like, I still didn't feel ready to take on the world when it came to, sex and stuff.
That's
like
why
that.
it can't be one conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where I was going.
Conversations.
It should, like what you're saying is it needs to be an ongoing conversation at the level, I guess, that they're at.
But do we as parents need to make sure we have the influence in our kids' lives that we can do that? So if we have no relationship with them, if we don't ever hang out with them, like thousands of conversations and having meals and going for walks and vacations, all these things we do give us the privilege to have our kids ask us good questions. But if they've asked a little question, if you can't show responsibility as an adult with the little questions, your kids will never give you the big questions.
Yeah.
If we freak out over something small, I saw something online and we freak out, they're never going to come talk to you. We want our kids coming to us no matter what. Like I always say, you want your kids running to you, not from you.
Yeah, we read the book Good Pictures, Bad Pictures. And so whenever like he goes to a friend's house or something like that, we're like, hey, remember, if you see any bad pictures, let us know and we can talk about it so that you don't have to face up alone or whatever. But like not make like nonchalantly, hey, remember. But coming back to marriage is if we don't have good communication and we're not talking about lots of different things or having issues in that way, then when it comes to things like sex, then our communication isn't there. It's definitely not going to be there in terms of, oh, this is working and this isn't working with things like intimacy, right? Like, hey, I really hate when you kiss my neck or whatever it is, right? Then it's... Lindsay.
Lindsay picks up a pen and starts writing down.
But do you know what I mean? Like, then we're not going to say those things because we're not talking about the things like, hey, it really bothers me that I always have to take the garbage out. That's a man's job. But
what's the quote? Unmet expectations are future resentments.
Yeah.
And so with something like that's part of the household management kind of stuff. Like your house is like a business. How is it going to run? Most people don't have any conversations on it, but they have expectations. Yeah. Like you kind of joke about garbage, but like
bring them
who's doing the garbage?
From your parents. Or like from your household that you grew up in is what you expect then in your household. And some men, not mine, he's perfect, but like they come from homes where they dad didn't do anything. They didn't do anything. So then they just expect. So they're not actually meaning to be the worst. They are, but they're not meaning to be. But so for the woman then who comes from like an equal shared, right, family of responsibilities, she's like, what the heck? Like, am I doing something wrong? Why isn't he helping? Blah, blah, blah. But you need to like talk about it because if you don't, then. And
I always push back on one word you said, helping. Because helping means that you as the woman
you
are
the
default.
Yes, that's good.
So there's a book by Eve Rodsky called Fair Play. And in it, she talks about, like, if you're a default parent, default relationship, default anything, that's bad, right?
Yeah.
We don't, as men, help our wives with cooking or laundry or dinner. we cook because we eat food. We do dishes because we make dishes dirty. Like, and
preach.
but it's finding, and it's not 50-50, right? It's not just, let's just balance things in half, because everything's a little different always. Sometimes someone's home. My wife was home. She did part-time nursing. So she had half time to do some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Or children, but it's balancing what works. And sometimes, and I generalize, but we as men look at the traditional things. We take out the garbage, we cut the grass, we fix things, we put up pictures, which are great. But those things don't equal food, making 3 meals a day.
I loved what you said in your talk about like how it's not just the physical load, but the mental load of like, I need to call the dentist. I need to remember to do this. And it's like the mental load too, we have to think of as a responsibility sharing is men don't often think about the mental load that moms carry in the dentist, the doctor, the school things that need to be done, all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
That is important that we are communicating, hey, you might feel like you're more in the household, but like I am like doing all of the appointments or whatever, right?
And that's why it's called like invisible labor. Do you guys watch The Office?
Yep.
So when Dwight left, suddenly there were things around the office. Michael's like, well, no one's cleaning up my desk. And why is the plant dying? Because no one knew this is the kind of idea. If it's not noticed and named, it's not counted. And so there's a great thing that I found. Don't hit the mic. So this is the book Fair Play, but they have this deck of cards you get. It's literally everything you need to kind of look and divide up. Like it's...
Oh my gosh.
Now, some of them are just simple. Like this one is points, miles, and coupons. But it's interesting. Who does the air miles and who does the other stuff?
It is still something. Yeah.
Extended family. Who's booking
or calling,
Christmas
make sure
dinner,
that
calling,
they're
dishes, school lunches, who's buying Band-Aids and toilet paper. And but it's really an interesting thing just to start thinking of, well, who does what? And
so what happens, doctor, if you get to the end of that and somebody has 80% of the cards?
Well,
it's like Uno. You got to get rid of your cards.
No, you do that.
Pick up 2, draw 4.
The first thing to me is you need 2 people who are wanting things to be like, you need in couples therapy, you have to have 2 people who both want things to be better.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I don't think anyone would come and say like, well, I want my wife to do more things, or I want my husband to do more. Like it's, well, how do we work this? And so one of the great ways is to kind of say, well, do you both have the same amount of free time? So come at it from a back end.
Right.
Do you both have enough time to go to the gym or go for a walk or see friends or do those things, which you do need to do as couples? You can't just be at home, especially with kids all the time.
Yeah.
And so if one person's golfing 3 days a week, and the other person never gets a chance to go out, you're, again, intimacy, right?
Yeah.
We're not a partner in this. And so it's trying to find a way, how do we rebalance this a little bit better? And then you have kind of a Brené Brown conversation. So I don't know if you've heard her, she does TED Talks and stuff. So she talks about how she uses the 80-20, that some days she'll come home and say like, I'm done. I had a horrible day. And the husband's like, I got it. I got dinner, go to the bath, do whatever you need. And then and it could be a day or a week, it could be a season.
Yeah.
And so there's like, when I'm traveling a lot, my wife picks up a lot more slack for me.
Yeah.
And she has in seasons of my life when I was traveling 300 speaking dates a year.
Yeah.
And so it's then finding, well, when I can, what can I do?
Yeah.
And finding but this to me is something that has to be addressed and talked about. And that's the fun part, is when people start looking at these things together. And
it's a really cool way to even think about mapping that out. Cause I never would think to, well, let's sit down and think about down to who's the air miles. Like that's,
but it's so like, if we rebalance in my house, one time we needed to rebalance a bit. So I kind of said, I don't even know if it's a card, but I took our bathroom off of our bedroom and it's mine to clean.
Okay.
But so I don't always do it as much as I should, but it means that it's not, my wife does like, there's no mental load for her anymore for that. Kind of like I do the garbage and recycling. She doesn't ever have to worry who does that on a Wednesday
Even if
morning.
It's like full, I know it's not my job.
Yep.
Yeah.
But if you have to go, hey, have you done the garbage? It's still in your head. It's still your job.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so that's why I don't like the word helping.
Yeah. That's
so
good.
it's just fun. We're partners. So how do we partner together to do the best we can for this? And there's reasons for this. Like we have a lot of over-functioning adults creating under-functioning kids. And often, and I'm going to generalize, under-functioning guys. And so we need to equip our young men to just be different in these relationships.
Yeah.
I think the whole underfunctioning men is, and I don't know what your take on this particular person is, but is given rise to the popularity of a guy like Jordan Peterson, who's been speaking directly to underfunctioning men. And I think you see that both inside the church and outside the church, that men have not taken the responsibility for their own paths, their own lives, their households, even from a biblical perspective of being the head of their house. Now, I'm not trying to get in and tread on anybody's toes here, but biblically speaking, the headship, not the ruler, but the headship of the home and things along that nature, we've seen kind of an abandonment of that whole thing, at least amongst my generation. It seems as though it hasn't been talked about, encouraged, and modeled maybe. And
head is often, like, if you look through work Sheila Gregoire does and others, like my wife and I, we're partners in all these things we do together. Yep. But if we're going to take, and again, there's views on stuff, we're going to take the headship stuff. Well, servant leadership means you're doing more than anyone else.
100%.
So, but that's not what often we see.
No.
People take that thought process and it ends up being more abusive than anything else.
Dictatorial and authoritative, yeah.
But like, this is one piece of the pie. But if you don't get this right, everything, like, you know what I mean? Like, if like, there's a quote I use, I forget who it is, and she just talks about all the things she needs to do for the day. And then the husband's like, I'm going to bed, which is really like a, hey, come upstairs. And she's like, I got 10 more things to do. And like, it's just, you've added another to-do list. Right. That's not intimacy. And so just beginning to address this and walking through these things, that's growth, where you can sit down together and go, how do we get better? And this is where, too, I think we have to, there's a great quote, Scott Armstrong, he's the director of the clinic I work at, Life Care Centers. He always says, where there's resistance, there is work. And so if you're pushing back on this as a guy, and it's predominantly men that I see, but it's also women sometimes, but it's predominantly men. I think as opposed to having resistance, ask the question, or just say, tell me more about that. So like your wife says, I feel like this, and this. Tell me more about that. Like, let's like turn towards and engage in the conversation more. Yeah. That's intimate, right? Why are you feeling that way? Let's talk about it. Like, sometimes it's just maybe the woman doesn't feel valued for some of the work she's doing if she's more at home with the kids in those younger years or whatever else. But discussion all through that, like, that grows intimacy.
I like the idea of the weekly meeting of like, hey, how did you feel this week? Where were we at? That kind of thing. I think that's important. Just even to stay connected through the crazy.
And your needs are my needs, right? So it's this, what do you need this week?
Yep.
Do you subscribe to the, I think is it the 777 rule? Is that
100% no.
Is it 777? Am I thinking that?
Is it correct? Every
7 days you go on a date, every 7 weeks
a night away. Yeah. And every seven.
Financially, that seems crazy.
So I think it's a date every 7 days.
And then a week every 7 months. Yeah.
So to me, it's legalism at its worst. I hear this from the pulpit all the time. And it's like, who can do that?
Yeah, it makes you feel like you're failing without even having started anything.
And the hardest time financially in life is when you have young children. Right? You're young, you're only building up whatever careers we're doing. Yeah. And for many people, they're never even going to have extra finances. So to say you now need to go away every 7 months. So I do think...
Or 7 weeks, or 7 days.
Okay, let me just put this there. I would love that. I would love to go away every 7 months, but I can't afford it.
But see, when that is said, I think people just tune out because you're like, what world do you live in? Yeah. Like, you're not connecting with people.
Come back to reality.
So to me, date night doesn't have to mean going to a theater where you're spending $40 on a movie and popcorn is more than that.
And babysitting.
And then babysitting.
It's like
or you
$200.
Go for dinner. You had like Kelsey's
more.
and a movie and like it's $200.
Yeah.
But date night could be, I'm going to put the kids to bed, or you put the kids to bed, I'm going to make us a nice dinner. I bought really good steaks, or I'm going to make a nice pasta or whatever. Or it's when the kids go to bed, you don't turn the TV on and you just sit and you just talk for like, there's so many things going for, and then once your kids get a bit bigger, like I think walking is it. I think walking is the best thing. You're getting exercise. I am one of those, like, I feel close to God in nature. So we walk, I live in Ajax by the water. We walk by the lake together. We're getting sunshine and exercise. Like we're stacking everything.
All the good things. Yeah.
And when you're side by side looking forward, we can talk.
You can talk easier. Yep. That's same with like, I find the car is good times to have conversation with children.
Yeah.
It's like when you're driving, I feel like then they're stuck there.
Yeah, it's
not like a bad, but like good family conversations. I feel like happen in the car.
It's a good time to have a conversation with your kids. If you're trying to have a conversation with your spouse,
it's not so
with
good.
your kids in the car, it's like I'm telling you, it's like they know the moment I'm going to open my mouth to say something I've been trying to say all day. Dad, Mom, they know.
No, Oliver will be like, "What are you guys talking about? What are you guys talking about?"
Especially,
it's none of your business.
Especially when you start to talk a little lower so that they don't hear it.
And then they do listen for once.
They listen all the time. The number of times, like, we'd be talking in the kitchen and my kids are way in another room, and then they're like, they'll yell a question. What did you mean by that? Or like, who are you talking about? Like,
I know.
So
they're sneaky.
You mentioned, the walking side by side, looking forward, and it made me think of the one topic I really wanted to touch on that I don't think a lot of couples really even think about, is purpose. The purpose within the marriage and as a couple and individuals, and how that looks together. Could you explain what you mean by that? And for those who are married, maybe they haven't even had anything remotely close to a conversation about this.
So in the Flywheel, the two things that I added in that weren't everything I saw everywhere. Fun, I did not. I heard it from Gottman. And fun, I would just say, do things that are novel. If you do have a chance to go out for dinner, don't go to the same restaurant.
Yeah.
Go find the coolest burger place or shawarma place, or go find a different hike. Just do something. You're a shawarma guy?
I love shawarma.
Oh, give me one of these.
Love shawarma.
Sorry, you had me. Now I've lost
I know.
my whole train of thought.
I could eat shawarma like 5 days a week. Like just
have you been to Pita Delights in Ajax?
No. Okay.
One of my top. Oh, by far.
All right, bookmark that in the podcast so I can find it.
What was I saying? Fun. Novelty. But like this is doing things different. And especially as you get a bit older and you've been married a long time, trying to just find novel things. Even when we vacation, we don't go to the same place. We never will. We've just said we want to try
Even though
different
Disney's
things.
different every time.
Every time. It's magical. We did Disney when our kids were young.
I just got back from Disney.
And then we've never been since. We'd like to go back though.
It's amazing.
Honestly, I would like to go just the two of us.
My wife and I did our first trip with the two of us since we had children last February.
Wow.
And we've married, so at that point it was 28 years. We went to Mexico together.
My parents, it was 25.
But we've traveled with our kids because we love, there's someone in a book called it a great collecting ritual, traveling. And we've each year, I mean, usually it's trying to find what the cheapest vacation is. Like, like Mexico, Dominican Republic, which is fine. Great. Kids got a bit older. We would do New York City. We did a couple of years ago, we did the Grand Canyon.
So good.
Oh, saw shows in Vegas. Like it was just, but it's not even where we went. Last 2 weeks ago, my daughter's up in Thunder Bay at law school. So we spent 5 days in Thunder Bay. No one would say,
that's a great place to go.
That's like a vacation place. But it didn't matter because we were trying the great coffee shops and new restaurants. And we did Sleeping Giant Provincial Park and Kakabaka Falls for any people who know. Like it didn't matter. We were together.
Yeah.
And that's the idea of vacations. And so if you can't go away, then you do something in the city and you go, but it doesn't matter. It's just being together.
Yeah.
My wife, her family, her parents are teachers, and every summer he would finish the last day of school and climb into the car that my mother-in-law had packed, and they would literally just take off and for 2 months camp their way across North America. And they didn't have a lot of money. They never ate out. It was always picnic in the back, sandwiches, stuff like that. But when they sit around the dinner table now and they reminisce as a family and tell all of the stories that they collected from all those years of doing all these trips, it's a beautiful thing to witness. Like it wasn't glitz, it wasn't glam, it wasn't, theme parks, and it wasn't this and that, but they are so tight-knit because of the stories that they share and the inside jokes that, they think they're telling me for the first time that I've heard like 8 times now in the past 12 years. I got one you've never heard before. Now this is the 5th time I've heard this, but it's it's a beautiful thing. And I think valuing the memory and over maybe the extra toy you could have bought or the extra fancy restaurant to eat at. It's
and this is purpose. Like my wife and I's purpose was we wanted to have kids who like were still a great knit family when our kids were this age. And they are. And so purpose is my wife and I wanted to still be in love when we were this age. But it takes work. Like this isn't something that just happens. You have to work at these things. John Gottman has this thing called the Sound Relationship House. If you ever Google it, it's literally a house. And so they took people and had them live in these townhomes, and then they filmed them. Only appropriate, but they filmed everything. So, you know, you guys as a couple, when you'd sit down, if someone says, like he uses the term a bid. So like, hey, I'm frustrated when this happens. If the person turns away or like they're watching facial expressions, body posture, what are they doing? And
like studying them.
Yeah. And then they put it all into this kind of, again, structure. So it's a house. The walls are trust and, what's the other one? I'm drawing a blank. It will come back in a minute. Okay. But like trust is one of these, is a companion. It's a C word. I'll remember it in a second. Can you Google that for me? Just do Sound Relationship House. What's the one that's on the right? But then on the bottom, they start with like, it's called love maps. Yeah, that's it right there. What's the one on the right? Commitment. How do I forget that one? But like trust and commitment. So like if you have couples coming in and there's affairs and things that are happening, or a person's thinking of leaving, like trust and commitment need to be there. The walls are the structure. Then we begin, because the goal is shared dreams and meaning at the top. But the bottom is like love maps is just knowing each other. You can get decks of cards like this one if you just search talking cards, and they're actually a Christian group on Amazon. There's ones for couples, there's ones for kids, there's actually ones that say Christian as well. But building love maps is just knowing each other. And like, what do you like and not like? They're pretty simple. But then you kind of go through all these things to the top, the purpose in the end. And then there's kind of the more, like from a faith-based standpoint, you know, we get involved with our church in certain things. Last Friday night, my wife and I, twice a month, volunteer. So we run the refuge dinners for our church. So we host dinner at the refuge. And for people who don't know, like it's a teen kind of shelter that we have here in Oshawa. And so we really like that.
Yeah.
And is it fun making meals for 45 people on a Friday night after a work week? Like, it, you know what I mean? Like it's, it's like, oh, like, but when you get there, you're like, this is good. Like, I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah.
And if the biggest worry I have is I'm tired and someone who's living on the street has a dinner. Like,
yes, you know, perspective is huge.
I think I said when we were driving home to my wife, I recognize my privilege when I'm driving home. Like my biggest worry in life is which vacation do I do, or whatever those things might be. But like there's purpose from a faith standpoint, and then there's purpose from a family standpoint. Yeah. It's a whole bunch of those things. That's why I like those, the fun and the purpose. They're kind of interesting things to think through. Where do we want to be?
Well, and if we're not looking at those things like purpose for one another, and we feel like we're being held back from what we feel we are supposed to do, you know what I mean? That resentment can be a make or break, right? In a relationship is, I feel like my purpose is to go to counseling school to become a counselor, right? We finances, we can't, you know what I mean? Like there's a balance there, but we ultimately want to see each other grow into who we feel we're supposed to be, or who we feel God wants us to be, right?
For anyone who's listening, and it's kind of like, it seems like there's all these things they have to do. I always just say, like, just start with one.
Like pick one piece of pie. Like
I tell my couples, I've had people kind of do 3-hour family meetings.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, that's not what I meant. Like, this is meant, start with one.
Sounds dreadful.
It is. Like, this is not meant to be an inquisition each week. It's meant to be how do we, just like you would in a church, you have church meetings and you plan out what you're doing. But I like that idea. But if you notice in the things like your 1 to 10, if you're let's say you're a 2 out of 10 with intimacy, and your goal is to be a 3, let's start with that.
Yep.
In counseling, we call that solutions focus, right? Just how do we move a little bit better?
Yeah.
But the heart is kind of, and one of my favorite quotes by Maya Angelou, she just says, do the best you can until you know better. And when you know better, do better.
Yeah.
And so if you're like, I didn't realize that we were mismatched with some of the house stuff. This is how I was brought up, or I didn't realize that, you know, intimacy, you were like all these things that we want to change. Tell me more about that. And that's intimate, sitting and growing through these conversations, but just choose one in these things.
Yeah, because it's like right now, I'm like, I need to wake up earlier. I need to drink more water. I need to eat healthier. And if you have all of these things that you like are wanting to do at the same time, you won't do any of them, right? So it's important to pick one, work on that. And who knows, once you work on that one piece of pie, other ones might grow too, right?
Well, yeah. I think like one of the difficulties is it seems like information comes not at a slow drip anymore, but like a fire hose, especially if you're on social media. And like, you know, I just from hearing, you know, Ruth, my wife, talk about how on all of these Instagram pages by all of these gurus, you need to be doing this, and it's like,
or you've wrecked your life and you've wrecked your kids.
How do you know where to start? What's like, and so everybody's overwhelmed to the point of paralysis
of information,
and you never start moving forward in anything. And I could see how within marriage you might just get stuck in the status quo because you might feel overwhelmed, but what you're saying with just pick one thing and try and move forward just a little bit, that would be an alleviation of a burden, I would feel like, for a lot of people.
And to almost go back to the communication one, I don't think, was it George Bernard Shaw? Someone says the idea of the greatest fallacy is that people actually hear you, like the communication's actually been had. Because we both view the world through our own lens of understanding. So I often have couples go through something called talking stick. Have you heard this before?
No.
So it's indigenous in its roots, where like the chief would have the talking stick, and then if you have the stick, everyone else.
Now that he's saying it, yes, I understand it now.
But then everyone else would shut up.
Yeah.
So as a couple, the goal is that, so if there's an issue, say talking stick, and whatever it is, so if someone has this, right? So whoever holds this. And you'd look at your partner and say, you know, this is what I'm feeling. And we use I statements. I feel frustrated when you don't do this. It would be great if you could do this. But the other person's goal is not, and I forget who says this, but they say we listen to respond. We don't listen to understand. I think it's Stephen Covey.
Yes, I have heard that, yeah.
And so, you know, if we're sitting chatting and you'd be waiting to respond, but instead the partner has to look back and say, mirror back or parrot back. What I hear you saying is, you're frustrated with me when I do this and you'd like me to do this. And the person's either going to say, yep, or they're going to go, what is wrong with you? No. And if that's the case, and this is what we do with parenting as well. If you say that to your kid, is this what you're saying? And the kid says, no, you say, well, tell me again. And so then we as, you know, the person would have to say it a different way. And finally, when the person goes, yeah, that's right. Then we pass the thing over to the next person and they say their piece. Then we, though, the first person who was saying their thing has to say to them, like we mirror back to them. Yeah. But you notice we haven't gotten reactive, right?
Yeah.
We're now listening and thinking things through. And in that, we try to find a solution, which is what I love, that kind of idea. And in time, you don't need to give something back and forth, but when there are those topics you just can't get through, you can start with that. But then if you still can't get through, that's where we as counselors are able to help, because we're just the unbiased third party.
And it doesn't mean that your marriage is falling apart to get help. Like, this is like, again, like the Christian misconception I feel of therapy is like, you don't have to be someone who has all the crazy mental health things to go get therapy. You can be a healthy person and just have struggle in an area that you're like, I want to get this taken care of so that I don't stay in fight or flight, right? Like, so I'm not anxious all the time or whatever. You don't have to wait until you've hit rock bottom, mental breakdown in order to do that, till you're separated to go for counseling. Go before you're separated so that you can be healthy.
You don't need weekly counseling for the rest of your life. I'm kind of still toying with the idea. I want to create like 3 to 5 sessions for a couple where they could come in and just, it's like a checkup,
like a refresh.
And just get some of these kind of things. But like for people listening, go get the Gottman book, like 7 Principles, and I can send you a link for your notes or whatever. But like, you know, the Flywheel to walk through, this Gottman kind of sound relationship house. Like, there's so many good things out there. And if you're using social media, I finished this marriage talk a year and a bit ago. I still, if you go to my YouTube wall, when you're signed in, it's just marriage. Like it's, or the little clips on Instagram or Twitter or TikTok. Like, there's so much learning you can get from that. But you have to discern what you're getting.
What I love about your talk that I listened to through the King Street page was that you just kept pointing to the proper resources. So like you've shared that your website has all the different resources that like even you've quoted all these people throughout this past hour, is that you go to my website, it has all the books that I'm referring to. You can find the information. If it's on this topic, then this book's for you. These ones are vetted. And because in a world where we're overwhelmed by information, right? Like I was at my naturopath this morning and I said to her, am I supposed to be eating 30 grams of protein at every meal? Because right now on Instagram, that's everybody's
Protein
talking about.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, Justine, you need protein. But she's like, unless you're doing like lifting and wanting to see like gains and stuff like that, she's like, you do not need, like, this is what's wrong. She's like, there's the pendulum that swings so much, right? And we just like are overwhelmed. Like, should I be doing carnivore diet? Should I be, you know what I mean? Like drinking electrolytes every morning? Should I be like, what is real? What is true? What like, and the thing is it's different for each individual person. But what's great about your website is you are like, okay, I've read these books. I am a follower of Jesus. You know what I mean? Like these are important to people who are listening, right? Like, you know that, like, I loved the chart you showed of like Sheila had gone through the different books and like the green and red or whatever. Like, and I feel like that's sort of what you've done is you've just like taken the books that you know are not baloney and put them on your website so that we then can go and find where like the help we need for parenting and social media, pornography, like all those different topics. So
what's so hard with like that thing?
And for free, I want to say for free.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
But like when Sheila did that, she ranked all the marriage books and books on sex. And the kind of one, so she ranks them with all these, like a rubric, and then they're green or they're red.
Yep.
The green across the board is John Gottman's book. And John Gottman, you can actually buy, so 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work. You can buy a Biblical Principles. It's like a little $5 book or something, which gives you for every, because the book is for anybody.
Yeah.
But then you can overlay biblical principles on all of that. But she went through books, and so many books might have some good things and maybe helped some.
Yeah.
But some of the other things are just so toxic.
Yeah.
And I think it's time we just start saying that's not okay.
Yeah.
Like just because a book has these things that are okay, if it's actually hurting people, it's not okay. Like, and so it's okay to go, we're not going to read that book anymore. Or we're going to find, or at least we're going to address some of these conversations.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel like our world has definitely become more of a questioning, but still overwhelmed because now everyone's doing it. Then there's all these ideas and you're like, oh, now I don't even know where to learn where there's actually like truth, right?
And with the analysis paralysis, sort of what you said,
yeah.
We don't read anything.
Yeah, then you get froze.
And so the stat that I heard recently is up to almost 60% of North Americans read 0 books last year.
Ooh.
So I do think what we've done is we've crossed a line in the last few years where media and technology become kind of something that, you know, they're okay, but they're not hurting us too. I think like when I say to couples, what are your rituals of connection? And they just say, oh, we love watching shows together. Is that it? Like if you're listing all the ways you can grow your intimacy, the very bottom is watching shows together. And the very bottom, maybe below that, is watching shows while we send reels back and forth.
That actually might be more bonding than just watching it. I'm just kidding.
But I mean, that is like the zeitgeist right now. Literally sending reels while half paying attention to a TV show. Like,
which, if you're going to spend an hour at the end of the night to finish that, but like maybe at dinner, plan, we're going to go for a walk. We're going to do these few things we need to get done. But like people watch, like we say to our kids, don't get off Instagram. And then we as adults have the TV on from 5 till midnight with like multiple screens all out as like,
my gosh, I wish I had 5 to midnight to do whatever I wanted.
Like I say to couples, turn the TV off. Like you can't say I don't have any intimacy when you're just watching shows all the time.
What do you recommend for our listeners? Because everybody does it, for them to do instead?
I say, rather than just decreasing tech, increase the things you want to do. So go for a walk. Go walk for an hour. Like my wife and I do that. We hope to do usually 2 or 3 times a week. We have an English bulldog, so we usually go for a slow meandering 45 minutes, and then we go for a walk. But whether it's like we say we want to do all these things, but we don't. And so do that. Spend time with your kids. Go for a walk after dinner. Go to the park. read a book.
Yeah.
Like read 5 pages a day. 5 pages a day is about 4 or 5 books a year. Even before bed, like just get rid of the blue light and just read a fiction book at that point. So like I read John Grisham. I don't know if you know John.
Yep.
Like he's
The crime guy, right?
crime.
Yeah.
It's all crime stories. But before bed, I do that. I try to do it every night.
Before bed, you read about crime.
Yeah.
Maybe that's your issue. Just kidding.
It's all murder stories. But I'm not reading like theology.
Yeah.
Or I'm not reading books that, this will work in a
parenting.
talk or something else.
That's my problem when I do want to read before bed. It is theology or like a leadership book. But
Like how to be better.
Yeah.
And then you fall asleep and you're like, oh man, I suck.
I just like to say to my wife at home when she's listening to this, you heard it here. We're joining a mixed pickleballs league. Pickleball so that we can connect better.
I think the gym
if
is
she
great.
wants to do it.
Oh yeah. Does she want to do pickleball?
She doesn't know it yet.
Okay. Maybe it's something you have to agree on together.
I know.
We joined a gym as a family when my kids were in grade 9 and grade 8.
That's fun.
And to this day, we still go together.
Wow.
That's cool.
And so for my wife and I, like we do spin class once or twice a week. It's just something we like to do. And we go to the gym. I may go do weights and she'll do a certain class, but we're still
Going
fitness
together.
is another value.
Yeah. My family used to run together.
Oh, I like
Like
that.
when I was in high school and my sister had come back from university, and then all 4 of us would run together in our neighborhood.
Oh, I like that. But like your question of what do you do instead of TV? Anything. Like it's, well, what do you want to do? Like,
I just always think games, and I hate playing games.
yeah. And I don't think we have to break out Uno or.
I know, but that's what I just like picture.
I
I just like picture like playing games.
I think the thing with TV and why people gravitate to it is because you can turn your brain off. And we are, at least in my stage of life, your stage of life, we're so exhausted from the day, parenting.
You think in
all
my
that
stage of life we're not exhausted?
I'm not saying. I'm just. Well, I feel like you're living the dream with like,
your
kids
walks and
driving themselves.
I wish we could go for a
places
walk at night, but like our
this.
kids need us to stay home.
But like, yeah, we think we're helping ourselves by doing something mindless,
But it's
but it's
actually
actually
not.
hurting.
Yeah. And again, I'm not saying don't watch TV. It's just you don't need 3 hours of TV a night.
Oh, okay.
And this is like, it's like that book Atomic Habits. Just make sure you're doing your exercise. Make sure you're doing all the things we need to do.
Yep.
Then we can watch television.
That's a great book, Atomic Habits. Anybody listening?
I already know I need to be better at habits.
That honestly, that book really changed the way I looked at how incredible just small micro adjustments to our lives changed big things. It's a great book, great audiobook. Let you listen to it. But yeah.
And with all the books, someone said to me once, you say a lot of books, I don't have the money to buy the books. And I'm like, well, get them at your public library.
Yeah. Libraries are great.
The Gottman book,
And
the
you can
Atomic Habits.
even request, if they don't have it, like you can request for them to like get it traded in from a different library.
And if some people say, well, I'm not a reader. I'm like, but are you a learner? Then get an audiobook. Like it's not about
No, I
reading or not.
listen. I'm not very good at like sitting and reading. I want to. It looks like, it's like one of those things that's like, oh, I wish I was like that.
Now this is absolutely anti to what we're talking about, but you can also get entire seasons of TV shows at the library too.
And video games.
Yeah.
We play video games as a family.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Not because I'm trying to. We play video games as a family. I'm just curious.
I'm not like my talk on media. I'm not anti even social media. I'm not anti any of these things, but it's.
I didn't think you were.
No. But like I grew up my age. There was a lot of like you'd go to a media talk and it would be like, don't do this, don't do that. Music's all bad.
Right.
Video games.
That's
are all
same
bad.
with sex talks.
Yeah, everything was just bad.
Everything's bad.
What's the quote? Jay Springer says, "Learning about sex in the church is like going to culinary school and only learning about food poisoning."
Yeah. Yep.
It's very well
No, but
done.
we need to get better. Even like coming back to that is it's even like I have thought, oh, should we do a podcast on sex? And like with someone like you who would be more like know what they're talking about or whatever, because it's really sad the state of our marriages today. Just the lack of communication and the lack that like, okay, let's not, because it's just then we have to talk about it or whatever.
And to me, first we have to get that foundation, right? right? Like sex is kind of this. We have all these things we need to work at first.
Yeah.
What was the original question? I don't know why we're talking about sex again. I think I said the sex quote. Oh, video games.
Video games, yeah.
But what you said is playing video games together. I love it.
Yeah, not separate. Well, like sometimes, but I don't like that because it makes them crazy, children.
And a bit of video games. The problem is games today, it's not like the Pac-Man from my day. These are like full immersion games.
They're addictive.
And so it's time limited, playing together as a family, I like. But I also think it's doing all, like, this is where I like team sports and going to youth group at a certain age, a junior, like do all of these things. And what you do with your free time, like, what's that called? The rocks analogy. Have you seen that before with the vase? Like, put the big rocks in first. So it's not like, we often say, like, just stop playing video games or get off your phone. But our house is set up with a massive plasma screen TV and couches around it, and we have nothing else to do. So this is where, as the kids get bigger, if they're going to the gym and they're doing these things and hanging out with friends and playing outside, then I don't care if you go play games or something for a while.
Yeah, it's when it's the only thing that they do. And
when it's the big rock.
Yeah.
It's the biggest rock.
And when rocks can't fit in.
Yeah.
Right? When that's kind of like mental health. You know you have anxiety or depression when it's now affecting your life.
Yeah.
When media, when you're watching 5 hours of TV a day, but your marriage is in shambles, you're failing at a school, or your health isn't good, let's go back to some of those things.
Yeah. Like the coffee. Yeah. Well,
there's so many things we could dive into, but I don't know if we want to go into a new path at this point, but
that was awesome. Thank you so much for coming.
Yes. Thank you so much.
We really appreciate it. And just like come back anytime. Anytime you're like, hey, I have a free day. Do you want to talk about any of the things?
Is there any dates coming up where you're speaking that you want to talk about, or where they can find all your resources if you want to pitch that?
So everything, sometimes I'm a little bit behind, but on my website, so brettullman.com is just my name. On that, if you click tour dates, everything is there. And I do have courses. My media one that's new, I just put online, and we've just been able to serve online courses on our own website. So it's a small group series for churches or just families to go through.
Awesome.
But my talk on parenting is on Right Now Media, and my talk on men is on Right Now Media. And I think it's on my YouTube channel as well. But everything comes off, you go to a website, all my social media is at the top. Okay. But in the middle of my social media is my little Amazon A. And on that is my book list. And so whether it's like one says sex and porn, which sounds very creepy, but like it's the best books on this topic. Parenting, media, marriage. And there's one, which is an interesting one, which is books I paid my kids to read. John Maxwell, in one line of one of his books, said, my dad paid me to read books. And my wife and I were like, let's do this. So in one of our family meetings, kids were like grade 8 and 9. We said, if we pay you $20 a book, will you guys read? And both my kids are like, yeah. And so first book was 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teenagers by Stephen Covey. And we've just done books over the years, Atomic Habits, The Marshmallow Test was one. The most recent was The Happiness Trap, I think it was, which is kind of one of my favorite therapy books that I have. But it's just been one of those learning moments. Now, the funny thing is they've never come and asked for the $20 because it's just opened up really good conversations. But all those things are all on there, including the talking cards that I said, those really great cards, which are great. With kids that are younger, like your kids, are great to have over dinner time. Yeah. And they can each pick one. It's almost like they think it's a
Instead
game.
of doing the rose and thorn every day.
Rosebud Thorn, I do like. And someone said to me once, play Rosebud Thorn funny. And I'm like, what do you mean? I said, there's no bearing. But for people who don't know, rose is what's good. Bud is what are you looking forward to. And thorn is what was tough today. But funny is what made you laugh today. And I'm like, oh, I like that. That's an interesting addition.
I was listening to a podcast a month ago, and she paid her kids to do sugar-free for a year. And I thought that was interesting too. They were the ones who were the parents were like, we're going to do sugar-free, no refined sugar, only natural sugars or whatever. And the kids were like, oh, maybe that's something we could do. And then her and her husband, or they said, would you pay us to do it? And then her and her husband talked and they're like, yeah. And so they got to do that together as a family, and it bonded them because it's difficult and whatever. But I think some things, not all the time, but things like reading books and stuff like that, especially for someone who would be like me, who doesn't like to read, to $20, well, maybe I'll read a book.
Or even before we watch TV, read 5 pages.
Yeah.
Right. Just something 5 pages turns into more. My wife and I have all talked about having just no TV nights. We've done it sometimes of just, let's not even turn it on. And we read and we talk, like all of this little stuff.
Yeah, we've done that before, like a no TV month, like no television at all for the month. We just started reading the Chronicles of Narnia with our oldest. And so we did chapter 3, I think, last night. But things like that are like out loud together, because it's a little bit weird, right? So I feel like just to like give him the book to read is like, I don't understand.
Yeah, the digital Sabbath is becoming wildly popular, and like just taking a day where you're just unplugging, like no screens, no internet, just enjoying one another in creation and all that stuff. And it's
hard though.
It is hard.
So hard.
Because like I'll be coming back from a speaking date. Well, I need to use Waze or Google Maps.
Right, yeah.
Or I'm suddenly looking at something like, I like this quote. Well, I can't take a screenshot and email it to myself. And so I like digital Sabbaths. Sometimes I'm like, I take certain things I want to take out.
Well, even like the fact that we don't have telephones anymore, right? It makes it impossible to not give a teenager a phone because they need one because the person's house they're going to doesn't, you know what I mean? Like there's just like so many issues now that like everything is this. Mm-hmm.
That's another whole conversation.
Oh yeah, for sure. And we've talked about it a little bit on the podcast, but yeah.
We did the fake wrap up. Now we're into the second part of the second half of the podcast here. But thank you so much for coming on. We definitely want to have you back if you'll come back. But
I'd love to. This was fun. Thanks for having me.
And so make sure you check out Brett's resources. His book, Navigating Parenting, is fantastic. It was given to us as a gift, not even from Brett, from another person gave it to us, and fantastic book. And he's going to autograph my copy before he leaves.
Nice.
Very good. So thank you so much for joining us this week on Squabbling Saints. You can look forward to more episodes coming in the coming weeks. And make sure that you like or subscribe if you're following on YouTube. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs so that we can get other languages dubbed, because we have a Spanish population here in our church. And if we get 1,000 subscriptions, then YouTube will unlock the feature where it dubs over everything so they can listen as well. So that's our push right now to get to 1,000.
We're far away. We're pretty far.
But you can follow us at Squabbling Saints. Thank you so much for giving us your time, and have a great week. Later.